Hey, what's up, everybody? It's the liberal loudmouth. So I am going live because I'm going to live stream the Owasso school board meeting, and there's probably going to be quite a few comments related to next Benedict. So let's go ahead and get this pulled up here. I had almost forgotten about it, and then I'm like, oh crap, they're doing it. So let's just pull this up here and get it started. Let me fast forward a bit. We're about
Mr. England,
behind.
Mr. Kessler, Ms. Mills,
Present.
Mrs. Retman,
Present.
and Mr. Turpin.
Present. Go to item number 2, special recognition, Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Cooper, Carly Musgrove, Rogers, and Chris Turner.
Hey, what's up, Andrew? I appreciate you showing up.
Good evening. At this time, it's my privilege to introduce two of our amazing seniors that we have. We have Carly Musgrove Rogers and Chris Turner, both seniors with us. Just a couple things to kind of highlight their accomplishments while they've been with us. Carly has been involved in several things throughout her time with us, including LARP, robotics, Asian American Heritage Club. Also,
I may have to leave and come back in.
She plans to go to USAO.
Some reason Chrome just runs like crap with
either going
StreamYard.
into pre-med or education. And then we also have Chris Turner. He's been involved in various.
Can y'all hear me? Please let me know in the comment section, because I wasn't able to test it before I went live.
Local elementaries. He also has participated heavily in concurrent classes. He plans to go to OSU in the fall and double major in computers and electrical engineering. If you would please welcome Carly and Chris to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's go, Carly and Chris.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands.
I thank you for clarifying that.
Under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hi, everyone. My name is Carly. As Ms. Cooper mentioned, I am a senior at Owasso High School, and I am very thankful for being able to talk to you guys, so thank you very much, Ms. Cooper. So I just want to start out, I wanted to say some of my experience with Owasso High School, and unlike Chris and probably a lot of your guys' kids, I came into Owasso High School my sophomore year, and when I tell you that I knew nobody, I knew absolutely no one. I had been homeschooled since third grade, and I had been doing it for a sport. And then until after sixth grade,
I'm going to pull myself out real quick, and I'm going to come back in.
Just online homeschooling, basically. I had no idea what I was doing coming into public school. My only ideas of what public school was were from high school movies and my very overdramatic older sister. So I didn't have the best image painted, and I was very nervous. So I went in not knowing anybody, like I said, and it shocked me how quickly I got friends, because I was thinking I was going to be like the new kid, the outcast, not having a place. And I immediately, like within the first week, I had like plans to go out with friends and go to boba and go do fun things like that. And that was so exciting to me, coming from somebody who had the same friends for the past like 5 years, who were all like gymnasts and didn't go to public school. And
Oh, sorry, guys. 1 second. There we go. Can you hear it now, Andrew? Can you still not hear it? I may have to go back, but it's for some reason Chrome runs like crap on this. And I want to point out that that Tiffany Cooper is the one that put them up to this. This is exactly what they did to me. Okay, let me fix that real quick. I'm so sorry about that. Give me a second. It's so weird. There, guys.
All right, let's find something. And I
Can
won't
you
lie,
hear
guys,
that
I
now?
went to the first LARP club meeting kind of as a joke because it seemed so nerdy. Does anybody in here know what LARP club is? What it
I
stands
think I
for?
know why I
Okay, a
did
few
that
of you,
on
yeah.
the other
So
one.
LARP club is live action role play. And when I tell you it's very nerdy, it is. It absolutely is. I'm not gonna lie.
My daughter was actually in LARP
So I
club.
went there, and I'm not a big
Okay,
D&D person.
thank you. Sorry
I'm not a
about
big
that.
Renaissance person. I just thought it was kind of gonna be fun and goofy.
Crazy.
And it absolutely was. It was so much fun. And coming from someone that was in sports and stuff, going into live action role play,
Now,
I thought it was
what
going to be a
this
train wreck. And
kid
I
is
had
doing
so much
is
fun.
softening
It was a place for
the
someone
upcoming
if you're really
and
into
I,
dance
I'm
class,
just going
you
to
can
pause
go-
it because we're not even live at this moment, and I'll end up fast forwarding. This kid is softening what the comments are going to come, because they put all those nasty comments, or the ones that are going to be about next Benedict. They purposely put them at the end and brought these kids in to make these statements to showcase just how great and wonderful Owasso Public Schools is. They did the exact same shit to me whenever it came to that policy stuff. If you followed my case, that is.
Go build like weaponry, which are pool noodles, but you can go build like fun stuff and decorate it, or you can go build your costume, and it's so fun for that reason. And then it's something for the kids that like want to be creative and be theater and make their characters and play them on the field. And then it's something for kids like me that just want to go thwack their friends with pool noodles. And because of all those aspects, it's just one of the many examples of a way that anybody, no matter what you think you're into, can come together and kind of have all fun together. I know that sounds like a really kind of nerdy club that like nobody would want to go to, but that's our biggest club in our school with over 160 members. I mean, that is just kind of a display of how
It must
willing
have
the
grown
people
since
are in
my
our
daughter
class
was
to
in
come
LARP.
together and have fun together and be welcoming to just about every person. Like I said, I was not very good at it.
And that lady that was up there earlier, that was
to
Tiffany Cooper. That's the principal of the high school.
Very big into my character or anything of the sort. And I certainly wasn't very good at the fighting portion. I would get tapped out every like 2 minutes. The next year I became the president because it was just fun and I got to talk to people, and every single person in that club feels welcomed, and it's a place for everybody. And that's just kind of the entire consensus of Owasso High School, is just that there's a place for everybody. You always have a mentor, and no matter what your interests or goals are, you have someone backing you and in your corner. And was amazing for me coming in as somebody who needed
And
that,
by
who
doing
didn't
this,
know
they
what I
allow
was doing, where
her
I
to
was
be
going
able to
into,
go
and
on as
didn't
long
know
as
if
she
I was
wants
gonna
to.
do well in academics
Whereas the
or
people
anything
that
of
are
the sort.
making comments,
It was
public
so
comments,
amazing
are
to just
restricted
go
in
into a
time.
community community that was willing to help you through every step of the way. During my junior year, I got to go be an office aide in the West Campus office, and that was also an amazing experience because there's a lot of the talk in like classrooms of just like, ugh, I don't know, I don't know what's going on with my grades. I don't know what's going on with this thing in administration, like my grades this, my curriculum this, blah, 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 right? There's just always something that's like, I don't know. Working in the secretary office, the administrative assistant, I was her aide. It was really eye-opening because I got to see all of these kids that I had never spoken to, and I wasn't really in their group or in their friend group, and they would come in and they could just talk to any counselor that they wanted to, and the administrative assistants and anybody that they wanted to, and they were getting like their issues solved so quickly. And it was just really amazing to see
Wow.
how much people care. And I thought
I
that
mean,
was really
I
great.
believe
And
that
I
this child
unfortunately
has had
my
this
administrative assistant
experience,
that I was
but
made to retired
it's
last
no
year.
accident
That
that
is a
she's
relationship
giving
that I
this
still keep up
speech
today, and we still talk to
today.
each other, and we still say, hey, how are you? How's things
I've
going?
never
And
seen
that's something that I think and hope
anybody, any one
with a lot
person
of my mentors and teachers that I
speak
have
for
in my
this
life.
long ever.
And I know that there's people in sports that have that with their coaches, and that's so amazing, and it's so highlighted with coaches. But I think it's really cool to highlight that that's how teachers are too, and that's how our counselors are too. And anybody from an administrative assistant to a teaching assistant can be like that at OHS. Kids are great at OHS, and that's what I've learned. And the teachers are great, and the staff is great, and administration's great from my experience. And it's been a wonderful time the entire time I've been there. And I'm really sad that I'm going to be leaving, but I've really enjoyed my time being there. And that's
Well,
everything.
Ron, you add
Thank
your
you guys.
thoughts
That's all
to
I
it.
can talk.
I mean, good on you, I guess, for making that speech, but
Hello, my name is
they're
Chris
using
Turner.
you.
I'm a senior at OHS, and one of the things that I want to talk about, I don't have
This
an
is
amazing story like Carly does, but one of the things that I want to talk about is how well Owasso has prepared me for the future outside of high school.
listen
So
to
I
this.
began
Wow.
advanced classes about in 6th grade, and then ever since I just kept going.
I told you, Margaret
So
is
now
she's
I'm
clever.
a senior right now, and I have the opportunity to have 1 year of college already done. So now I get to go to OSU, and that helps so much. I just went to OSU over this weekend, and now I have 1 year done, and now I get the opportunity to double major in computer and electrical engineering. So that gets to help out a lot. I'm just so thankful that Owasso just pays for the TCC classes and helps with the books and things like that.
Owasso doesn't
So-
pay for that.
So
The
I don't have a
state
story
does.
like that, but I just want
The
to just
state
give my
pays for
kudos
that.
to Owasso. Thank you guys.
That's a state thing, and possibly even a county.
Thank you, Carly and Chris.
That's
If you guys would
Margaret
please come
talking.
to the front, Carly and Chris, and get a picture with the board members. We would love that.
We would love that. Oh, listen to me. Now I'll point them out to you. Maybe you can't see. Yeah, you can't see my cursor, but so the one on the left there, Stephanie Rutman, blonde headed. Brent England is in the white. He's the guy that actually got into it with. Frosty Turpin is on the far right in the gray shirt. Oh, they're like, Tim's calling us out. We better swap. That's Rhonda Mills over there on the far left. They're missing Neil the Weasel Kessler. I guess he was too busy lying to everybody to show up. He was like, I'm tired of getting griped at. I ain't showing up. Let's see what other shenanigans they've
Item number
got.
3, reports to the board.
That's Margaret Coat in the back of the blue.
Yes, good evening, board members. It
This
is
camera,
with
what is going on?
sadness that in my report tonight, I address the recent loss of one of our own,
Oh,
next Benedict,
yeah.
a bright and promising young student. As educators, when we look into the eyes
Pandering
of our
bitch.
students, we see the reflection of our own children. This is why the passing of one of our students is always a profound tragedy and difficult for everyone. Our thoughts and prayers continue to be with Nex's family, friends, teachers, and all who knew Nex. I'm proud that in times like this, our school community continues to come together to reflect, support one another, and ensure that every student feels a sense of safety, security, and belonging within our school walls. As we continue
Yeah,
to
that's why you
move
didn't
this
call the
loss
police,
together,
huh?
Owasso Public
Just on the
Schools remains
parents.
focused on the safety and well-being of staff and students. Over the past few weeks, we have offered continuous counseling support for both students and staff. We have also provided additional law enforcement and security personnel at our sites, and we will continue to cooperate with local and federal officials. I'd also like to take this opportunity to express my gratitude to the Owasso community, including our law enforcement partners, business leaders, chamber partners, faith leaders, and our own school community for the outpouring of support during this difficult time. The solidarity, compassion, and kindness exhibited by our students, teachers, parents, central office staff, and board members has been a source of strength for myself and many others. It is incredibly heartwarming to see our school family come together to support one another in the face of this tragedy. I'd also like to say a special thank you to high school principal Tiffany Cooper and her administrative team, along
Yeah,
with
there
the high
she goes.
school counseling team. for their
Protect the staff,
tireless
lady.
dedication in supporting and caring for our students and staff during this incredibly challenging
Yeah,
time.
Tiffany Cooper, the one that
This
refused to call the
heartbreaking
police.
situation serves
Yeah.
as a reminder that we must continue our focus
She's so great.
outlined in our district's strategic plan to create a safe and nurturing environment. As we move forward with our strategic plan, this is an opportunity for us to review our policies, curriculum, and programs. I remain committed to listening and collaborating with students, families, staff, and community, and I invite everyone to join OPS in this important work. Our mission as a public school is to love, challenge, and prepare all students for life after high school.
Except for the ones you let
We
die in your
embrace
school.
this mission wholeheartedly. In closing, the best way that we can honor the memory of next Benedict is to continue to
Is
simply
providing justice.
treat others the way you want to be treated.
Justice.
With dignity, respect, compassion, understanding every single day.
Is that what you did to her? Is that what you did to her?
Questions or anything?
Compassion?
Dr. Coates, I just want to say thank you for sharing those words.
That's Stephanie Ruttman.
And
They're
express
like
my
besties.
personal condolences to family and friends and really all
No.
those affected by this loss. And I appreciate your leadership, and I have full confidence in you and your team to lead our district.
These
and our
people are
community.
shameless.
So thank you.
All right, thank you.
They're like psychopaths. Boo is right. Thank you. Thank you.
Time out! Time out!
Oh, watch out.
Hey!
You're going to get banned.
This is a public meeting. We will respect everyone that speaks. No one is to interrupt.
That's Brent England
another
talking.
speaker. No one is to boo or
Shut
cheer
up,
another
Brent.
speaker. That is not the point.
We'll kick you
If you
out.
cannot follow these rules, you will be escorted
Yep.
out.
And you'll
by
be
the police
banned from
officer.
school property
So
for
please
6
treat
months.
Others as you would like to be treated yourself.
Fuck
for the
off,
remainder
Brent.
of the evening. Thank you very much.
Boo! I'll fucking boo you from here. Boo!
Yes.
Yes, they'll ban you, lady. They'll ban you.
Would you like to leave? Whoever said that? We can
Yeah.
make sure that happens.
Oh, yeah, they already did that
Either
once.
follow the rules or voluntarily leave the building.
I followed the
Your
rules.
choice.
Fucking hypocrite is what he said. That's right. You're a fucking hypocrite. Call them. Say it. Let them have it. Let these fuckers have it. Every last one of them.
Okay, we're ready to go. Item B, teaching and learning, Mr. Officer.
Mark Officer, he's assistant superintendent. Is a good dude. Is a good dude right here.
A little update on the teaching and learning department. First of all, you're going to see several requisitions tonight and some contracts for math adoption. It's a process we've been going through this year.
Now I'm gonna fast forward through some of this.
That committee of teach that for come up here. That's something in place. Started that.
Say,
Oh.
know that you guys come on in. We have a special group of student athletes here that went down to
Check
Norman
out
this
student
past week
athletes,
and
give them their
represented our
props.
town and our community, our school district in a first-class manner. If you know Coach Montanati, you know that I
They have
can't
a great athletic
use the
program at
passion
Owasso.
and the emotion that he likes to use to introduce these guys. So I'll just introduce to you
Ron, is
the head
that Zach
coach of the
talking?
2024 6A state champion basketball team, Coach Brian Montanati.
Champion. Nice. Yeah, Owasso has a lot of resources, y'all. A lot of resources.
First off, I'll say it's
Big
an
ass
honor and
school
privilege
district.
to be here with these extraordinary young men and getting to introduce them and the recognition that they rightfully deserve. I'll brag on them for 1 second before I introduce them. The team finished 26-4. We broke a school record for most wins.
Damn.
They won the regional. They won area consolation, and then more importantly, they qualified for state and then went down and played unbelievable.
And whooped some
over the
ass,
course of
did
3
they?
days and beat the 2-time defending
Ha
state champ with. They thought they had the best player, but they realized we have the best player on our team. So
That's funny.
hats off to them. Not only were they
Good job,
extraordinary
guys.
on the basketball court, but they're exceptional students in the classroom, and I believe that's what makes them so successful on the athletic field. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce them real quick. I'll introduce my coaching staff. I've got, when I introduce you guys, raise your hand. I got Ricky Peaker, Jerry Peaker, James Scott, Jaden Llewellyn, Nick Thompson, and our manager are Samara Green, Dalton Hibbert, and Jaylene Pareda. Our players are number 0, Nico Ingwan, number 1, Jalen Montanati, number 2, Cody Lecklider, number 3, Bowden Williams, number 4, MJ Milton, number 10, Vince Sims, number 11, Crew Byerly, number 15, Jax Kerr, number 20, Spencer LeBeau, number 21, Gabe Patterson, number 22, Cohen Scott, number 23, Colton Hibbert, number 24, Gage Nantois, number 30, Anthony Barnes, and number 32, Anson Harbaugh. 23-24 6A Class A state champs.
I know you guys can't see me from back there, but we'd like the board members to take a picture with you guys.
Let's line up like we would for a team picture. Tall guys, you mean, got 3 rows.
Brent England is the guy that was, and to be fair, Brent England is currently the sitting board president. He was the one that was speaking and saying those things. A year ago, it would have been Neil that said those things. That's just kind of a formality. But yes, that was Brent England. In fact, that's the guy that I got into it with in the parking lot who grabbed my shoulder and led to, partially led to me being banned. Same guy. Thank you, baby. All right. Well, good work on the basketball
Is it
team.
tomorrow or is it
Yeah,
Wednesday?
the guy in the middle in the white
Wednesday,
shirt,
okay.
that's the one that was saying all that shit.
The track project is now under construction. The track fencing.
That's the
construction
facility
fencing,
director.
is
God, what's his
dirt is
name?
being moved.
Starts with a
Working with
K.
Nab Holtz, our construction management company.
Kerner.
They've agreed
yeah,
to
Kerner.
help us with some of the around.
All right, we'll get forward. We're about to be live.
Things they do resume writing, surveys to.
There we go. Now we're live.
College and career fairs. As you know, the high school began doing industry fairs periodically, and that's going over really well. And they do resume writing and just all sorts of different activities. Super proud of all of our secondary principals who have worked hard as we've gone through that process. Additionally, the emphasis on the professional learning community process continues, and our principals.
And the guy
continue to do a
talking
good
is
job
Mark
of,
Officer, the assistant
making
superintendent.
sure that we implement
He
that
should be
with
the one running that school, not
a strong
Margaret
focus
Coates.
on making sure that students learn, a focus on learning rather than necessarily a focus on what's being taught, a focus on making sure that kids are actually learning what's being taught. And we're seeing gains with that. Our teachers are reporting that They feel less stress and less anxiety because they're working as teams now instead of working individually, which is fun to watch and listen to. We hear that a lot, especially from new teachers to the field. As you know, it can be a little bit overwhelming. Lots going on all the time if you're a teacher. And so it's great to be able to offer them support. And through those professional learning communities, they're gaining that support. So that's also been really good. And then the last item on our part is all-day pre-K. And you guys know that we, the committee a couple weeks ago decided how we're going to pursue that. And we're excited about what that might look like over the next few months. Any questions? Thank you.
Takes us to item 4, comments from the public regarding agenda items. I understand we have one speaker.
Now, this is comments only for things that are on the agenda.
The rules a second before you approach Mr. Walter Masterson.
Wow.
Each person will have 5 minutes to share their remarks. to the
Brent, don't be a
specific
fucking
agenda
dick.
Item identified by the individual when signing up to speak. The
Wow.
total time allocated to this section of public comment will not exceed 15 minutes. School board policies
See,
and federal law have established separate and distinct
that's
procedures
Brent's
and forums for the
attitude, and
resolution
that's
of
what he was
grievances,
doing that
employee
night in the parking
employee
lot.
suspensions and terminations, and complaints
That
against
kind of shit.
individual employees, pupil suspensions and appeals and litigation, to avoid circumvention of these separate proceedings and to assure fairness to all parties concerned. No person will be allowed to speak regarding the following: an issue in a pending lawsuit, complaint, or investigation filed with an outside agency in which the school district, its employees, or the Board of Education
I'll go
is
back to
party,
Brent.
a pending grievance, a pending employee complaint filed with the school district or an outside agency.
The guy next to Brent, he's been there for over 30 years as a school board member.
Termination or a pending student suspension or appeal that may reach the Board of Education. Each speaker will be addressing the board as a whole, and each speaker's remarks will be taken into consideration by the board. There will be no action taken tonight on the comments from the public, as the board members can only take action on previously published agenda items. Other community members in attendance at this public meeting are asked to refrain from making comments or engaging behaviors to keep the Board of Education from hearing the person making remarks. Should those in attendance not refrain from disruptive behaviors, the individuals will be removed from the Board of Education meeting. We appreciate everyone's efforts to conduct a productive meeting and to model behaviors.
For the record, this speech is standard. Neil Kessler used to read it every time. And now they can stop him if he gets off topic. He has to only talk about agenda items.
Here about school security. Apparently people don't feel safe here. I can't imagine why at all. The more woke school board would see the death of a child and work to make sure it never happens again.
Oh, in this portion, Andrew,
this board sees a dead kid and says, that's a good start.
In this portion, the non-agenda will be at the end of the meeting.
And by all children, they mean, these children, not so much these children. Hate us if you want, but, we're the good guys. We want to let kids be kids, and there's nothing more unnatural than a teenager experimenting with their identity. It has never happened before and should be punished. We're the good guys.
I have a feeling they're going to cut him off.
Kid's grave, blame the parents, and tell our teenagers to hit them.
They may not, though. That'll be dumb.
We're the good guys. When we heard that a trans child had been beaten to death, our state senator, Tom Woods, immediately released a statement.
Calling it filth. What a piece of shit.
That filth in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
We can call children filth, even the dead ones, because, we're the good guys. Right? And if we're wrong, if God doesn't want us driving off the lepers and deviants and worshiping the bankers, if our God doesn't want us casting the first stone, if our God doesn't want us loving people despite their differences, well, if we're wrong, then I guess I'll see you all in hell. Thank you.
I actually thought Brent might cut him off because not only was he not looking at the board, he was looking at the audience, because you're technically supposed to address the board members themselves. But
modify consent agenda. Board to consider and take possible action on the following consent agenda items: minutes of special meeting February the 8th of 24, minutes of the regular meeting February 12th of 24, teaching and learning, out-of-state student activity trips. Agreement
Now
with
it can
Florida
take a
State
while to get
University
to the
for regional
comments. It
Benedict
could be
Center
another
for the
hour.
Owasso
Just
High
heads
School
up.
graduation for the 23-24 school
You
year.
probably have plenty of time to get a drink, smoke a cigarette or whatever.
As outlined in the attachment, and authorize the superintendent or designee to execute the agreement. Under district services, a current capacity numbers for transfer students. E-finance, purchase orders, encumbrances and changes to encumbrances for February of '24. Activity financial report for February of '24.
I thought about signing up to speak, but
Activity account budgets, F, human resources, transitions. Do we have any questions?
I have a question. Who does number 2 work for? Brent?
I move we vote to approve the consent agenda items.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Rutman?
Yes.
Mr. Turpin?
Yes.
For the record, I don't know that I've
Ms. Knight?
seen
Yes.
anyone other than Brent vote no on anything
Business
that was
item
put
number
in
6,
front of them.
finance, Mr. Storm. Board to consider and take possible action.
Just
on
rubber
fiscal
stamp.
year 2023 financial audit.
Yes, so Mr. Kerry Patton from the auditing firm of Patton and Odom is here to present our audit.
This guy's a
Before,
dick,
just to let you know that.
but
after
he's on his
presentation to the
shit. This
board,
guy knows his shit.
This document will be submitted to the Oklahoma State Department of Education, as it always is, and it will also be posted to our district website, as it always is. So again, this is for the year ended June 30, 2020.
He's the finance guy.
Thank you. Good afternoon, or good evening.
He's like, this is awkward.
Pleased to present your 2022-2023 audit report. I would like to run through the booklet with you a little bit, if you all have that in front of you. I know in past years I've gone through every page. I'm going to spare y'all this year unless you have any desire for me to go through.
They're
all
going
the
to probably
pages.
going to
I
want
would like you to
waste
turn
as
over
much
to page
time as
1.
possible.
Page 1 is the independent auditor's report. That's where I test the reasonableness of the financial statements. It basically says that our audit found your financial statements to be accurate and free of any misstatement. It talks about being on a qualified basis or qualified opinion on regulatory basis of accounting. That has to do with the capital assets. As I tell you every year, I don't think we have one school on the regulatory basis of accounting that has the capital asset records to put in the financial statements. And so there's a qualification based on that, but that is, you're in the same boat with 100% of the other schools on a regulatory basis. It talks on the second page, it talks a little bit about responsibilities of management for the financial statements. Your responsibility, I'm sure you well know, is for the fair presentation and for adequate internal controls here at the school. It then gives several paragraphs there about the auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the financial statements. And it goes into a little bit, some very summarized detail.
And for those just showing up, the comments that you're probably here to see are going to be towards the end, probably
Page
30
3, it
minutes
talks
to
about
an hour
supplementary information.
away.
The way this report is set up, it's got the basic financial statements up front and then notes of the financial statements. And then back in the back, there's supplementary schedules, such as your schedule of federal awards, your activity fund schedules, and some budget to actual back there. And all this simply says on page 3 is that we subjected the same type of audit procedures to that information as we did to the basic financial statements. We found that information to be free of material misstatement as well. The last paragraph there simply alerts the readers that there's 2 other reports in here, and we'll be going over them in just a minute. One of them's on internal control, and another one has to do with the federal financial assistance programs. I would, if you don't mind, I'd get you to turn over to page 5. Page 5 of the audit report is your combined statement of revenues collected, expenditures paid, and changes in fund balance. I'm sure y'all look at these numbers.
Yeah, it's
on a
probably
regular
going to get
basis.
pretty
What I wanna
wild.
go over
Those
here
people were
there,
heated.
Your general fund, it
I don't
shows
blame
how
them.
much revenue collected by source, and your expenditures are there by OCAS function code.
But yeah, this
You can
school
see
will
it
kick
goes
their
in each
asses
line
out,
item
have them
what we spend
arrested,
in a year.
throw them in
Y'all,
chains, whip them.
Y'all spent about $5 million less last year than you took in, and
I'm being
increased your
hyperbolic, but you
fund
know,
balance
you
in the
get the
general fund
idea.
to $14,472,000, a very strong fund balance for the general fund. Your special revenue, it's fund type there. Your special revenue is your building fund, your child nutrition together. Then your debt service, that's the money that we levy to pay your bonded indebtedness and an interest on that every year. And that fund balance is really, I mean, it's relevant, but it's not relevant except that it's sitting there to pay debt and interest. Then your capital projects shows that you went from 38 million last year to 46 million at the end of June of 23, or nearly 47 million in fund balance in your capital projects funds. You've got notes to the financial statements after that, and these notes give quite a bit of additional information. It also gives a lot of definitions in here, so if you get to reading it, you want to be careful. You could go to sleep. Till you get back
Yeah.
to, like, page 14 gives
This stuff
additional
is like
information
watching
on
grass grow.
your debt. I think that's interesting.
Hey, what's up,
Talks about
kitty?
your retirement system and your participation in that, and some other basic items of the school district. Talks about your early retirement fund, that type of thing. Just more information to kind of back up or go along with the financial statements that we looked at. We just looked at. If I could get you to turn all the way over to page 27, this is a schedule that I think is real important to you. This is your federal financial assistance schedule. And page 27 and 28, there will show on the left-hand side all the federal programs that Owasso participates in.
I don't know. I believe he is part of an
2022
independent
2023
audit
year.
that they're
It gives
required
us
to
some
get.
federal
Philip
identifying
Storm is
information
the
there that tells you how
CFO,
much
and
you
he
should give on each one of
introduced
those
this
federal
guy. So I think
programs and how much you
he's from a
expended on
company that
those.
they paid independently to
And
do
then
the
the
audit.
balance at June 30th, 23, if those have parentheses around them.
I
that
think
means
I've seen him
that
before, but I
basically means
don't
you
know what
spent
his
that
name
money
is.
prior to June
I don't think
30th,
he's
but you
employed by
hadn't
the school,
received
though.
it as of June
Contracted,
30th.
but not employed.
And you can see all the way over on page 28 that y'all expended $11,404,000 worth of federal government's money last year.
They're good at
Not
spending
only,
money.
are they big on handing out the money, they're big on the auditing of it. So
He
we
looks
have a
does.
compliance manual that I think I've told y'all about before, but it's like, it's got every federal
What I've learned
program in
about
it
finance guys and
that they
accountants is
dole
they're
out money
usually
on
pretty
during
dry.
certification.
Brent
But
is an
we go to
accountant
these
too, and he
federal
looks a little
listing
weird
numbers here,
too.
and it gives us recommended audit procedures that we run on the federal programs that we select as major. And those would be the ones on the left that have an asterisk on the left-hand side there on page 27 and 28. And they were largely due your ESSER money, your OSTS,
Oh my God,
School
that's
Nurse Support
hilarious.
Grant,
I'm going to leave that up there for a
your
second.
Child Nutrition Program.
Oh
They were
my
all
God.
selected as federal money because we have to select
That's
at least
terrible.
40%
Shame.
of the total federal funding that you get, and we have to
And shame on me
select
for
the
laughing
programs
about it.
that make that up. And we have to go to this compliance manual and make sure that you guys complied with everything you said you would when you made your assurances and applied for those programs.
Yeah, I feel like
And
Philip
also they have
Storm
additional
wouldn't
compliance
let the
requirements in
school
there. And we'll have a
fuck
letter
around
that
and steal
speaks to
money
you
or
here.
embezzle it. I just don't think he's that kind of guy.
Page 30 is
But
the
he is a
beginning
dick,
of your
though.
activity fund information. We do a real good audit on the activity fund, especially because, I mean, we do on everything, but we go into a little more depth on the activity fund due to the amount of cash that runs through there and the number of people that's associated with it. But your information there runs from page 30 to 33, and it gives you a year's worth of information on every one of those activity fund sub-accounts. Then if I could get you to look at page 34. Page 34 is a report on internal control and compliance. When we come in to do an audit, we don't do an audit on internal controls, but we come in and audit your financial. We do a financial statement audit, and you can't do a financial statement audit without looking at several of the internal controls, especially the ones that if you didn't comply with them, they could have material.
You don't audit the internal controls? Why?
Like we run
That's weird.
processes, transactions. We run them through the system. We look at the approval processes. We look at the safeguard of the assets. We look real hard at segregation of duties, make sure that one person doesn't have, more duties than they're supposed to have. That's what the internal controls consist of. And when we're doing that, if we find anything that leads us to believe that you have a deficiency in your internal controls, we bring it up to you on this letter on page 34 and page 35. And it's kind of a long-winded letter there, but it'll basically tell you that we did not find any deficiencies in internal controls here at Owasso when we did the audit this year. So it's a good, clean opinion or a good, clean report there. The second report on page 36 is a report that specifically addresses and only addresses your major federal programs. The one I was talking about that we have to select is to get 40% of the major or the total funding. And we go in and we run those compliance procedures, and this is a pretty big deal. I mean, this takes up a good sizable part of the audit. And we look at things like eligibility, whether the, of course, whether the expenditures are
Spit it
appropriate.
out.
We look at period of availability, those type of things. Even goes into Davis-Bacon Act a little bit. But this report on page 36 and 37 and 38 will tell you that we did our audit on the major federal programs here at the school, and we found them that Owasso was in compliance.
And
with
Kitty, you
every,
missed it. It got real heated earlier. People were
set forth for the major
booing
federal
Margaret
programs that we
Coates.
chose.
It was
also says here
funny.
at the bottom of page 37 that we looked at the internal controls related to the administration of those federal programs and found that to be in place here as well. So in other words, y'all have done a real good job here. We do have a page on the back here on page 41 where we address things that we want to address with the board that aren't significant deficiencies or aren't major compliance issues, and it'll basically tell you we didn't find anything. That doesn't mean necessarily that we didn't make any suggestions when we came out here, but we didn't
Yeah.
find anything that had
Yeah.
to
And
be
when you're at
tweaked
these
in it.
board meetings, they don't fuck
So that's
around.
a reportable condition in an audit report.
Yeah. You
And I
go
think,
back and
you've
watch
done
it
that well
later.
for the
It's,
last few years, and I think that speaks very highly to
yeah,
your
it's something.
leadership and your staff. One thing I think that helps make, I mean, you obviously you've got a talented bunch of people in your financial administration, but they also are real good about calling us if they have a problem during the year. And I think that
And this is weird too. I mean,
come in on tail end,
I've
write you up
sat
a
through
nice
audits
report.
and stuff
I feel
before,
good
but
about that, and I would like
I've
to
never
compliment
heard
them on the job that they've done.
that.
And I went through that
I
real
think this
fast
guy
this
is
time, but
adding all of this
if you want
other
me to go
crap
through each page, I will. If you'd like
because
to
of the
ask any
situation.
questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I think we're good, and we appreciate the brevity.
Frosty's been
Thank you very much.
screaming
I
at
appreciate
everybody.
working for you. Thank you.
Frosty's been screaming. He lost his voice.
May I hear a motion to receive the report of the auditors, please?
You just received it.
Make a motion, we approve the fiscal year 2023 financial.
They approve everything, guys. They never
Motion
don't
made and
approve
second. Roll call,
something.
please.
Mr. England.
Yes.
Ms. Mills. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And Mr. Turpin.
Yeah, yes.
I've been
Item 7,
screaming at
appointing learning
protesters.
Officer, A, discuss regarding instructional materials to be purchased within the 24-25 adoption cycle. Math textbook adoption, and a math textbooks adoption. A lot of math textbooks.
Yes, sir. This is the reason this is written like this is because these specific publishers.
The person doing the camera, they don't normally do this
kind.
back and forth crap.
However, if you looked at that first Cengage quote, you'll see that the dollar amount's just a little over 500,000. So we wanted to make sure this was a pull-out item so that I could share with you specifically, just because of the dollar amount of that specific quote. The other, as you scroll down to the other quotes on this item, you'll see that they're much smaller. That first one is, as I previously talked to you about, for K through 4, everybody K through 4. The rest of them are for specific individual textbooks at Owasso High School.
Again, if you just showed up, that there is Mark Officer. He was the principal of the high school. Not last year, the year before last, and he became the assistant superintendent. That's what he is now.
No other questions? I guess we'll go to item B. Board to consider
Old man yelling at clouds.
Quote from McGraw-Hill for the purchase of
Well,
pre-calculus class materials.
Frosty's the one that was like, I was sitting there watching the video and I was looking at you the whole time and couldn't help but notice that you were laughing the whole time. It's like, yeah, man, you just played I have resting dick face at the board meeting. It was funny.
All right, the next two items are for McGraw-Hill, and the reason they are their own separate items is because McGraw does require a signature. And so asking for you to approve the purchase of the pre-calculus texts for the next adoption.
Questions?
pretty boilerplate stuff here.
Make a motion, we approve the quote from McGraw-Hill for the
That's
purchase of
Stephanie
instructional
Rutman
design
talking.
materials for the 2024-2025 school year at a cost of $21,032.10 plus shipping of $820.26 or 3.9% as outlined in the attachment, and authorize the superintendent or designee to execute the quote.
Second.
Motion made. and
Stephanie
seconded.
Rutman's the
Roll,
blonde.
please.
Ms. Mills?
Yes.
Mrs.
No,
Rutman?
I can. They banned me from school. I sued them in federal court. They lost
Item C, board to consider
twice.
and take possible
The
action on the
judge
quote from McGraw-Hill for the purchase
undid
of
my
NCAA
ban. So then they were stuck with me.
Algebra 2 math materials for the 24-25 school year at a cost of $664,233.
And they banned me from all school property.
$5.09 as outlined in the attachment, and authorize the superintendent or designee to execute the quote.
Again, grades 5 through, basically 5 through 10, some juniors, of course, take Algebra 2 as well. It's a little bit more than the first quote because there's one additional grade level, basically. McGraw-Hill does require a signature, and also this is a significant purchase. It's a little over $600,000, so we wanted to make
That's
sure
crazy.
that we cleared that up.
$600,000 for
So
math
asking you to
books.
approve the purchase of math
And what's
content for
wild
grades,
is
for
that
Algebra 2.
the last year they forced computers on every
Make a motion,
child,
we approve the quote from
and
McGraw-Hill
they
for
didn't
the
even have
purchase of fifth grade
textbooks.
through Algebra 2 math materials for the 24-25
Like their
school
math
year at a
teacher
cost
would
of
pull up, literally pull up YouTube
$664,233
channels
plus shipping
to
of
explain the math.
$20,905.09.
Like the teacher, they're like placeholders nowadays. It's sad. Let the teachers teach. That's what I say.
Motion made and second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Turpin?
Yes.
Mr. England?
Yes.
Ms. Mills?
Yes.
Mrs. Rutman?
Yes.
Item D, board to consider and take possible action on the agreement with Joseph Roberts for hypnosis performance at the
Yeah, and what's funny is Brent put his hands on me. Yeah, they because I said fucking the policy's fucking bullshit, Brent. Y'all need to fix it. They're like, oh, that's verbal harassment. And then 2 days
If you
later,
attend any of the senior events, you'll know that this guy
she sends me a letter in the mail saying I was banned.
So we're again bringing him back this year, and he'll perform a little bit different timing, or he'll be on the same day as the senior picnic there in the PAC.
Okay, I move we vote to approve the agreement with Joseph.
Well, for things like math, I think that's a terrible idea. The YouTube stuff should be supplemental, not the go-to.
As outlined in the attachment, authorize the superintendent or designee to execute the agreement.
Second.
Motion made and second. Roll call, please.
Mr. England?
Yes.
Ms. Mills?
Yes.
Mrs. Rutman?
Yes.
Mr. Turpin?
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Section 8, District Services, Mr. Kerner. A, board to consider and take possible action on a water line easement with the city of Owasso to move an existing water line easement at a cost of $0 as outlined in the attachment, and authorize the
Interesting.
superintendent or designee to execute the easement agreement.
Wow, they don't usually get
So
free
this
shit.
is part of the track project. So
Oh,
currently,
so
it
they
was kind of built in
they took it out of the
phases. You would
bond.
have one
There was like,
water line
God, it
easement
was
coming up
millions
from
and
the
millions of
south,
dollars for a bond
by the
to
ag.
upgrade the track.
You also have probably when the wellness center or
Yes,
indoor
I mean,
facility
possible.
was built, a line coming in from the north. So those two connect. We're moving the water line over toward basically where that alley, the road is now. So you'll see in there, there's several attachments. Two of those are to vacate the two existing easements. So we're vacating those. The new one is to create a new water line easement, and it's just going to be one. So we'll create a loop for the city. So they'll have a water line easement that runs all the way through. And then the last attachment there is actually where we sign it and document. So really all we're doing is we're taking an existing
Neil
water line
Kessler, I do
that
not.
the city owns,
Neil Kessler
we're
stood
moving
up
it
in
over.
front of the board
Got
meeting
with
and
the
just
proper
flat out
access.
lied about me. Literally just lied.
Going to be under the road?
He knew he was lying and he did it anyway,
Yes.
right in front of everybody.
It's under parts of other roads and.
So I've got nothing for that guy.
Well, you can see my concern a tiny bit that if it starts.
Neil the
leaking
Weasel
road
Kessler.
versus dirt, so.
We might, yes. but it's been there for a long, long
Well,
time.
they were
and
upgrading
hopefully
it. There was a
we'll be
lot
at
of
other
stuff that they had
junctures
added in
to
that. They were
modernize it.
upgrading the weight room and stuff for the gym facility. I mean, it was a bunch of stuff. I actually took a tour around the school with Zach Duffield, who's the athletics director.
Thank you.
And he pointed out to us what they were changing. It made sense to me. Like, I was surprised at how ragged their gym actually was, given the amount of resources they have.
Water line easement at a cost of $0 as outlined in the attachment, and authorize the superintendent.
Well, it was all part of the same bond. There was a bunch of things that they were
We
fixing.
have a motion made in second.
Ms. Rettman?
Yes.
Mr. Turpin?
Yes.
Mr. England?
Yes.
They even have medical staff at the school,
Item B, board to consider and take possible action on the
like,
contract.
nurses and shit for the
two
kids,
security
just for
officers
the athletic
for the remainder of the
medical staff.
23-24 school year at a cost of approximately $25,000 as outlined in the attachment, and authorize the superintendent or designee to execute the contract.
Okay, so as you know, this year was our first year to have school employees that were school security officers. We started with 5 positions, and we've had some turnover in those throughout the year. Currently, we're down to
Yeah, no, my school had jack
so we're
squat
trying to
too.
look at the calendar and how do you do that with so many certain days left in the school year, in summer, trying to hire someone. And say,
This was
"Hey, you only
something they
work
were
these
talking
days,
about
and
at
then
the
we'll
end
bring
of
you on for the
last school
summer
year,
before you start
right
working next
before I
year."
left.
We started
They were
looking
going to
into
hire
is it
armed
better
security
for us,
guards
to hire some school security officers rather than
on top of
just
the
for a temporary
SROs.
period of
But
40
a lot of good they
days or
do if you
so.
don't call them to come and do something.
So we started checking around, and PhD, they have experience with schools, and their security officers all CLEAT certified, so same qualifications that we would expect. So we would like to do this.
Yes,
For just the
Mr.
remainder of
Officer
the
used
school
to
year
be the high
and
school
this summer,
principal.
we,
Yeah,
again,
2 years
hire
ago, I believe. Yes,
own
last
starting
year
the
was his
following
first year as
year.
assistant superintendent.
We have learned over the course of the year that we need
That
to
was
adjust
Paul
those,
Croft's
that
idea,
salary
was
scale and
to
make sure
employ,
we're retaining
veterans
the
or
guys that
retired
we
law
hire.
enforcement
So
officers.
that's ultimately what we want. We want our guys in there building those relationships and being consistent in our hallways. And so
I don't
we've got
actually
some
agree
plans
with
and
employing
going to do
armed
that
security at the
with some of
school.
those
I just
adjustments.
don't.
But for this temporary period of
I'm
time,
live. What's up?
a few days of the school
What's up?
year, we would like to do this.
She should be in the room. I don't know. What, do you need something?
Make a motion.
No. Okay.
to
I'll holler at you when I'm done.
to Agree to the contract with PhD Security for 2 security officers for the remainder of the 23-24 school year at a cost of approximately $25,000 as outlined in the attachment and.
Wait,
authorize the
2 security
superintendent
officers for $25,000? What the hell?
Second.
Motion made in second. Roll call, please.
How the hell do you employ 2 security officers for $25,000?
Yes.
Mr. England?
Yes.
Hey, what's up, Lane? Thanks for showing up, buddy. That's bottom of the barrel kind of security services there. Yeah, we're
A,
paying
board
them
to consider and
$3
take
an
possible
hour.
action on the treasurer's report for February of 2024.
Thank you. So this time
That's
of the
Philip
year,
Storm, CFO.
typically revenue will be outpacing expenditures, and that's the case for this report. As you can see in the general fund, our revenue through the end of February, almost $15 million more than the expenditures for the same time. Last
I'd
year,
pay
at this
that
point,
dude
we
to
were
do
at
my
about $30
taxes
million
and shit.
fund. So that's not uncommon.
Without
Our
question.
revenue, we have a large chunk of our revenue that comes in January through April through property taxes. And our expenditures are somewhat backloaded because we have a lot of summer payroll that gets run at the very end of the year. So we need to be in this position now so that we can finish the year where we want to finish. So this report tells us that we're where we want to be. In the building fund, you can also see that revenue is a little bit ahead of expenses. There's some new source of revenue in the building fund this year called
Yes, I'm on Facebook as well. Facebook on Loudmouth, YouTube on Loudmouth, and
from the state.
YouTube on Liberal Loudmouth.
Put us in the position right now of having revenue a little bit more than expenses.
I agree,
We
Lane.
expect another half of that to come in before June 30th, but I won't be shocked if it doesn't come in until after June 30th, but we'll see. And also in child nutrition, again, slightly ahead of expenses. Our revenue is running a little bit ahead of expenses at this point, which is, again, right where we would want to be at this point.
Any questions?
Brent might have one.
We vote to approve the treasury report for 2020.
I'm Frosty.
Motion made in second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Turpin,
Yes.
Mr. England.
Oh yeah, it's you're probably on loudmouth. The other one's on liberal loudmouth or something like that.
Item B, board to consider and take possible action on a contract and letter of engagement with Patent and Odom CPAs for the audit of the financial statements for the year ended June 30th of 2020.
So Patent Modem is who that guy worked, that other guy worked for.
And authorize the superintendent or designee to execute the contract.
Yes, so this would be the contract for the audit of the current.
How much
fiscal
did you
year,
say it was going to
unlike
cost?
What you just had presented to you. which was for the last
100,000?
fiscal year. We're required to have a contract for the audit. We're required to submit a document to the State Department of Education verifying that we have that contract in place before the end of the year. And this contract that you have represents just a few $100s more than the fee for last year, but very close to the fee for the audit that was just presented to you.
It's crazy.
I make a motion, we approve the contract and letter of engagement with Patent and Odom CPAs for the audit of the financial statements for the year ended June 30th, 2024, at a cost of $21,000 as outlined.
Oh,
in the
21,000.
attachment, and
Okay.
authorize the
God,
superintendent or designee
$21,000 for an audit.
Second.
Motion made in second. Roll call, please.
Mr. England.
Yes.
Ms. Mills.
Yes.
Mrs. Rutman.
Yes.
Mr. Turpin.
Yeah, yes.
And these people never try to
Item C, board
negotiate
consider
better
take
rates,
possible action
by
on
the
service
way.
agreement with
In
Alexandra
fact, they
Wood,
got irritated with
ICLD,
Brent, who tried to do that
CDCS,
when it came to
as sports
construction
nutrition
stuff.
consultant for the remainder of
They
the
weren't having it.
23-24
They were like,
school
just
year
give them the
at a
money.
cost of $2,500 as outlined in the attachment and authorizes superintendent or designee to execute the service agreement.
So we had a contract with another provider, and that person has left us. And so this is a contract to get us through the remainder of the year. If you have any more detailed questions, I would certainly defer to Mr. Duffield.
For those of you that are just showing up, the comments that you're probably coming to watch are going to be towards the end.
Does the salary come out of
It
the
could be
athletic
another
fund?
10, 20, 30 minutes. Who knows?
Thank you.
Depends on how long it
Approve the
takes
service
them.
agreement with Alexandria Wood,
I mean, it could be
RGM
right after this.
CES as a sports nutrition consultant for the remainder of the 23-24 school year at a cost of $2,500 as outlined in the attachment, and authorize the superintendent or designee to execute the service agreement.
Second.
Motion made in second. Roll call, please.
Ms. Mills.
Yes.
Mrs. Rutman.
Yes.
Mr. Turpin.
Yes.
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 I bet Frosty is upset that he can't scream at the protesters.
Are we missing something from you? Okay.
Huh.
Vote to convene into executive session for the purposes of discussing vote
Oh.
to convene into, whoa,
Spit it out, Brent.
it's in there twice. Vote to convene executive session for the purpose of discussing the employment of Owasso Public Schools site administrators listed on the attachment for the 24-25 school year.
Oh, shit.
Authorized by Oklahoma State Title 25 or Statute 25, Section 307B1. Motion, please.
Make a motion to vote into executive session.
So at this point, they, when they deal with personnel issues,
Motion made in second. Roll call,
they
please.
go to, I'm going to pull up the agenda real quick,
Yes.
And Mr. England.
and we'll look and see who exactly, because they're basically going to pause everything. So matter of fact, let's go through this together. Let me share this tab. Can y'all see this? Okay, so this is the agenda. Let me scroll in as best I can. If you notice these links here, these links are a direct result of me. I actually asked them to start posting the items that they were talking about, because you'd get to the board meeting and they'd be talking about stuff and you'd have absolutely no idea what they were talking about. And they would just vote on it. So school site administrator listed on the attachment. Oh, how interesting is that? They didn't. Oh, it says Dr. Coates. So maybe this is coming up for her review for whether or not they're going to keep her on as to renew her contract for the next school year. Okay, so let me go back now. Let's share that. But yeah, that was actually Margaret Coates that accepted my lobby to them to add the documents themselves, and I mean, credit to her because, you know, that was a great thing because I came in there one day and they voted, it was like 75,000 some dollars. And I had no clue what they were even talking about. They didn't really discuss it. They had already discussed it before they got to the board meeting. And they were just like, yeah, let's spend it. And we're like, what the hell is this for? So I asked them and she put it on there. So I, you know, good on her for that. But, so yeah, and unfortunately they turn the mic off when it goes into executive session. They could be there for a while or they could be there for 10 minutes. But I have a feeling they'll approve Margaret Coates as superintendent for next year if she's the one they're talking about. That for some reason these people are just shoved right up her ass. I mean, they love her. She was about to cost the school hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they were like, yes, please. We want more of that. And Amy Fitchner never had these kind of problems with her. I mean, the board didn't like her, but oh yeah. Yeah, look at that. 1 second. Let's see. Yeah, I wish Ron was able to come on here because he you know, he'd give insight too, because I'd been to nearly every board meeting for like 3 years. So if you have any questions about how these things go or any of the people, I'm happy to talk to you about what I know about them. But I mean, the school generally is a good school in terms of academics. But there's also a lot of very wealthy kids, and when you have that plus other, you know, poor kids, you usually end up with little shitheads that, you know, bully and what have you. So you get a lot of people getting mistreated. It's kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is. So this is an interesting thing. Margaret Coates was the assistant superintendent under Amy Fitchner. And in 2021, I believe it was, or at the end of it, Amy Fitchner was basically fired by the board. And when they did that, and it came out of nowhere, right? And when because Margaret Coates retired. She retired. And then Amy Fitchner was still the superintendent. And then they got another assistant superintendent, Dr. Castaldi. Great lady. I really enjoyed her. She was only there for about a month or two. And then in comes Mark Officer, and they brought Margaret Coates in as the interim, brought her out of retirement. So to me, I feel like this was something they had in the works for some time. It was like a coup, Margaret Coates coup, because this happened right after Stephanie Ruttman got on there, and Stephanie Ruttman and Margaret Coates are like two peas in a damn pod. So yeah, they kicked her ass out of there. I believe it was Brent England had told me that Amy Fitchner just wouldn't share information with them. She would hide stuff from us. That's what they said. I don't know if that's true, but they sure love Margaret Coates, and they brought her in immediately. I don't even think they really put out for applications for anybody else other than Margaret Coates. That's probably an open records request that I should put in to figure that out, because I think the board knew they were going to bring Margaret Coates in. But she's real good at that, you know, fluffing you up and making you feel like you're awesome, I guess. Like Dana Prieto is a guy who's running for Senate, real far right wing guy. And yeah, like the OSSBA and all those, they came out against Dana Prieto because he was going to come after the schools. Then the moment he gets elected, oh, she just loves this guy. She brings him in, gives him a tour, goes to the Capitol, you know, tours around and takes all these pictures with Dana Prieto. Immediately this happened. And I'm like, really? I sent Dana a message. I'm like, please don't fall for this lady's bullshit. Like, she is one conniving little something. I mean, she's like like, for example, those kids getting up there, and I hate to say this because they're kids, and it's not their fault, but them letting that girl get up there and talk about how great and wonderful Owasso has been, and she was so accepted and inclusive. They did this on purpose. I mean, anybody with 2 brain cells can see, just make a deduction that they did that on purpose to try and soften the blow. They did the same shit during the board meeting when they reversed that policy that I was pushing them to change. And brought in the news media and made a big deal about it. Changed the way that the comments were laid out so that me and Ron had to give our speeches to the board in front of all of the parents and stuff that were there, because usually they would do like acknowledgments first, and then they would dismiss all of the parents that had showed up to see, like, the basketball team had showed up there. They would do all that stuff at the beginning. But this one, they changed it and moved it after the public comments, right? And they moved the non-agenda comments to the front. And they did it on purpose so that everybody could see this child giving a speech about how terrible it was that those graphic novels were removed. And then here comes the asshole, me, making a speech, and then Ron, and then another child right after, complaining about the graphic novels. It's choreographed. It's all on purpose. She's not stupid. Yeah, exactly. Retirement. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, she's too young to have retired, but she did. And then she sat around and did nothing until Amy Fitchner was gone. I'm sure Fitchner knows, but Fitchner's, she would never say. I tried to get Castaldi to explain to me why in the hell they got rid of her. Because I once said Castaldi should be running that school instead of Margaret Coates, and within a month, Castaldi was gone. I'm like, I feel bad if like Margaret Coates was pissed that I'd said that, so she had to get rid of her, or if she knew that Mark Officer would be a lapdog. I mean, I like Mark Officer, but he plays the game, as it were. I don't know what Fitchner does now. I haven't been able to find any information about it. I think she may have retired. She was getting up there in years. I mean, she was pretty old, but it was actually funny because Fitchner and I liked Fitchner at first, until just every time you talk to her on the phone about, anything, Mr. Ryland, I respect you as a parent. She said that to me so many times, and I'm like, look, lady, don't talk to me like I'm an idiot. Just talk to me like I'm a person, please. Just please. And I just started to realize how fake she was. And so I'm like, you know what? We should probably get rid of her. And and then that was when COVID happened. And now she's getting it for both sides. She's getting it from the anti-maskers and from me, and from other people, because she tried to ride the fence with COVID, kind of. And anyway, it didn't work out for her. But she came up to me at a board meeting and she's like, Mr. Ryland, I don't know if you remember me or not, but I'm still the superintendent, because I told her that I was working to get her out of there. And she comes up with that fake ass smile of hers and she says that to me. And I just look at her. I was like, I know who you are. It was literally the next month they had fired her. And I'm like, damn. But I didn't realize Margaret Coates was going to be taking over, and I didn't realize what a shit show it was going to turn into after that. If I'd have known that, God, I never thought I'd be wanting Fitchner back, but I left there. I mean, that place is just, those people are, if you're not part of their crew, Castaldi, Castaldi, she was just a person that came out of nowhere. She hadn't worked for the school whenever they had brought her on as assistant superintendent in the interim, when they retired Fitchner and then brought Margaret Coates in as interim. She came out of nowhere, and I don't know what she's doing now. I had never met her before, and she hadn't worked at the school. So I don't know, but it might have been because of her. See, Castaldi would talk to you like you were a human being, right? She wouldn't like talk down to you. She wouldn't give you the whole, bullshit, that you can tell when somebody's feeding you a line of BS. She didn't do that. And she would say, okay, I'm going to look into it. I'll get back to you. And she would get back to you. Where Margaret Coates is one of those. So maybe that's what it was. Maybe there were some disagreements that Castaldi had, because like I told people, Margaret Coates is a control freak. She is an absolute control freak. She's I don't know. I mean, I guess to keep everybody in line, she might be a good drill sergeant. Kill them with a smile, I guess. But no, it's quite an experience with those people. Some of it's good. I mean, I like a lot of the people that are up there. I got to know them really well. Not everybody in Owasso is bad, but Tiffany Cooper, for example, every time I'd go there to talk to her, she just had this look on her face, and maybe that's just the way she looked. I don't know, but I always felt like she would just didn't want to talk to me, or really any parent. She just, I've got to sit through this. Oh, fuck. He just wants to talk about things and I don't want to do anything. But I remember that time when I printed off the pages of that book, and Mark Officer went up there with me to the high school, because I told Mark, I was like, I want her to see this. Because yesterday she just told me I wasn't allowed to go in the library, and that she wasn't going to go in there and find the book. She wasn't going to, do any of that. So I wanted her to see it. And she flips through a couple of pages. The first thing she says is, ugh. And I'm like, yeah, ugh. Why do you think I'm here? And Mark says, you don't have to look through those if you don't want to. And I'm like, wait. You're her boss. And because you don't want to get, hit with the sexual harassment charge, making your employee look at these sexual images of, penises and ejaculation and all that crap. It's like, but it's okay. It was okay for the kids. Makes total sense. Crazy. And people still shit on me for going after that book. But I'm like, look, you're showing pictures of dicks and tits and stuff in the school. Like, what? Come on. Go to the public library and do that. That's not something that they should have at the damn school. If you can't tell a story without showing penises and boobies, then don't tell your story, But they fixed it, so it won't be there anymore. I haven't seen any comments. To those that are just showing up, this executive session could go on for a while. A lot of times what they'll do is buy everybody food. They'll cater sub sandwiches and shit and get these big old platters, and they'll go into the executive session and they'll sit in there and eat and just, because you got to think this is an opportunity that they get to talk amongst themselves and nobody knows what they're saying because it's not public information. And I feel like a lot of school boards will do this and violate the Open Meetings Act and talk about things that they're not supposed to. Like, I imagine that they're in there discussing what's about to happen, which is the comments that are going to be made at the school. I imagine that's going to come up, even though it's not supposed to. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, they aren't the most ethical people in the world. I mean, they violated my constitutional rights and then stood up there and lied about it. So, I wouldn't put it past them to do other things. But yeah, here we go. So right after this is the non-agenda comments. So they'll do new business. They'll be like, does anybody have new business? And I've never seen them do that. And then okay, public comments. And I'm sure Brent is going to browbeat everybody. He is kind of a dick. I do still like Brent, though. He's actually up for re-election this year.
Members of the Board of Education.
Oh, here we go.
Present were Brent England, Frosty Turpin, Stephanie Rutman, and Rhonda Mills. Also present during the executive session.
Not in executive session.
During the executive session, board members discussed the employment of Owasso Public Schools, school site administrators, listed on the attachment for the 24-25 school year.
They didn't give the
This also
attachment.
discussed, no votes were taken. This will constitute the minutes of the executive session.
Oh, that is some bullshit. They didn't even say who it was they were talking about.
Possible action on to hire Owasso Public School site administrators listed on the attachment for the 24-25 school year.
There's no attachment.
Yes, thank you. I would humbly request that you approve the administrators on the attached list that we looked
Margaret
at in
Coates.
executive session for the 24-25 school year.
Make a motion, we approve the administrators listed on the attachment for the 24-25 school year.
Second.
Made and second, roll call, please.
Mr. England?
Yes.
Second.
Mrs. Rutman?
Yes.
Mr. Turpin?
Yes.
Item 12, new business.
There is none.
Go to item 13, comments from the public regarding non-agenda.
Oh, here we go. Oh, they cut the audio. They cut the audio. Are you kidding me? They cut the damned audio. Oh, so we're having technical difficulties. See what I'm talking? See what I'm saying? If it doesn't come back, that was no accident. Oh, I accidentally pushed the button. Oh, I'm sorry. It's like the body cam footage that just doesn't. The body cam footage just didn't work.
The following.
Okay, here we go.
Pending lawsuit, complaint, or investigation filed with an outside agency in which the school district, its employees, or the Board of Education is a party.
I have a feeling they're going to do that again.
A pending employee complaint filed with the school district or an outside agency, a complaint against individual employees, employee disciplinary action, suspension, or termination, or a pending student suspension or appeal that may reach the Board of Education. Each speaker will be addressing the board as a whole, and each speaker's remarks will be taken into consideration by the board. There will be no action taken tonight on the comments from the public as board members.
Yeah, they won't even respond to the comments, so don't expect them to. They won't. They
Other
won't.
community members in attendance at this public meeting are asked to refrain from making comments or engaging behaviors that keep the Board of Education from hearing the person making remarks. Should those in attendance not refrain from disruptive behaviors, the individuals may be removed from the Board of Education meeting. We appreciate everyone's efforts to conduct a productive meeting and to model behaviors of exceptional citizens.
Model behaviors.
and others.
Well, why don't you lead by example, sir? Lead by example. Too hard for you? There we go. Okay.
Good evening. I just want to start with all the protesters that came out tonight. I see you. Thank you for coming. My name is Madison Hutton. I'm a 2019 Owasso High School graduate and a proud member of the LGBTQIA+ community. I stand before you today, like many others, with a heavy heart and a pressing call for action. I will not be talking about the case as it is active and ongoing. That being said, the recent tragedy that has befallen our community and school has shaken us to our core. The brutal assault on next Benedict on our school premises and the subsequent lack of adequate response is a stain on our conscience that cannot be ignored. I did not have the pleasure of knowing next Benedict. However, many of us have been next Benedict at the hands of Owasso Public Schools. Nex's story is not isolated. Many students, especially those of the LGBTQ community, have come forward with their own disturbing stories about their experiences with the school officials since Nex's passing. This just goes to show that Nex's story is not an isolated incident. It is a reflection of a larger problem, a problem of systemic bullying, discrimination, and lack of accountability. For far too long, you have allowed bullies to roam the hallways, teachers and students alike. You have reiterated the notion that if a cisgendered white individual wanted to wreak havoc on others, they are able to do so without fear of any major repercussions. For far too long, you have failed to hold individuals and institutions accountable for their role in perpetuating this culture of cruelty within your walls. This is not just a failure of your duty to protect our students, but a gross injustice that demands accountability and change. In the wake of this tragedy, instead of stepping up to address the systemic issues at play,
Owasso public school officials have resorted to victim blaming publicly, which is a familiar role for all individuals and minority groups. We are
Yeah.
told, if you were bullied so badly, why didn't you fight back? And
Yeah.
in the next
Why
breath,
didn't you report
if
it?
you wouldn't have fought back, this never would have happened.
Right. Or you
We are
you
forced
threw
to
that
play a
person
rigged
into
game
the
of your creation.
paper
Let me
towel
be very
dispenser.
clear. We will not allow this to continue. We will not allow Nex's memory to be tarnished by negligence and indifference. We must ask you, where does it end? Who will be held responsible for ensuring the safety and well-being of our students?
It won't be
Why
Margaret.
are protective protocols not being followed diligently? And when will you, as our trusted school officials, put an end to bullying and discrimination by all students? Today, I bring forth a petition signed by disturbed and enraged citizens across the nation, many of which are in this room,
Get rid of
demanding
Tiffany.
justice for Nex
Very least.
Benedict. We demand that Owasso Public Schools erect a memorial park bench in Nex's honor, placed prominently on the
good.
school grounds and funded entirely by the school district. This bench will serve as a lasting tribute to Nex's
I
memory,
love it.
as their story will not be silenced or forgotten. Our demands do not stop there. We demand accountability. We demand transparency. We demand an end to bigotry and discrimination within our schools. And most importantly, we demand action. Nex's tragic fate serves as a stark reminder of the consequences of inaction. We cannot allow history to repeat itself. Make no mistake, bullying is not just a harmless rite of passage for students. It does not simply toughen our skin. It is a scourge that can have devastating, life-altering consequences. And in Nex's case, it cost them their life. We owe it to Nex and to every student that walks within our school doors to create a safer, more inclusive environment. We owe it to Nex to continue to say their name. Let us come together, as not just as educators and students, but as advocates for change. Let us stand in solidarity with the LGBTQ community and reaffirm our commitment to protecting all students, regardless of race, gender identity, and sexual orientation. Now I direct this to the young people who are attending tonight. You have an opportunity to be better, to unlearn bigotry, to relearn acceptance. I refuse to accept that this is who we are. We are powerful because we have survived. Next Benedict's memory will live on through our actions, and let us honor them by ensuring that their death was not in vain. Hope will never be silent. Let us rise to the occasion. Let us stand together as one community and in one voice say that bullying will not be tolerated in our schools. Thank you.
I'm all about the bench. Not that that fixes anything, but this is a reminder.
Our next speaker is Nicole Gray.
I think there's like 8 speakers, which they don't normally do. Normally it's they only allow like 30 minutes of comment total. No, she's pissed.
As a queer, non-binary Oklahoma native, I'd like to begin my address by stating how unequivocally grateful I am
Were
that
they?
I have not attended Owasso Public Schools. If recent events are anything to go by, then Owasso Public Schools would have been a death sentence for me. I barely survived public school as it is 20 years ago, when I didn't even have the terminology to articulate my identity correctly. It is incredibly disheartening to me to see how little the American public school systems have changed their actual real-life stance
Yeah,
on bullying
it's
over the years.
so bad.
You may do lip service to anti-bullying policies. You may pat yourselves on the back for having, quote, better policies in place than in the past, but rarely do we see any real, measurable action taken, especially when the victims are queer students. I had to not just change schools, but move
To be fair, they would have
states
done
to
this with
escape my
anybody.
bullies and find some peace at school. At my old school, it didn't matter how many times I reported the bullying, or how many teachers saw it, or even if I was being actively stalked by another student. There was never anything they could do, or it was their word against yours, or worst of all, was I sure I wasn't just being too sensitive?
Right.
Next deserved so much better. It was your job to protect them, to ensure that their learning environment was safe, and you failed. There is no denying that fact. You have failed in your task. You have allowed the prejudice and hate so sadly prevalent in what should be a neutral and, dare I say, sacred place of learning and education to end the life of one of your students, with the official response to the attack itself boiling down to a tepid and apathetic seek medical help. Oh, and the advice to seek medical help was given out of an abundance of caution.
Yeah.
How incredibly gracious of you to be so obsessed with your caution as to
Oh.
this, yet at the same time so miserly with your actions as to not have protected them in the first place. As the saying goes, actions speak louder than words. I don't give a tinker's damn, as my grandmother would say, about what the school's official policies against bullying are, because at the end of the day, what matters isn't whether or not you say you're against bullying, but rather what you do.
Yup.
All
She
the
is
anti-bullying
absolutely right.
policies in the world don't matter a single groat if you refuse to take action and allow the behavior to not only continue, but to escalate to full-blown physical violence. And I know what no small number of you are thinking right now, that bullying is just a fact of life. No,
Yeah, it is. It is.
bullying is a choice that people make, a deliberate
I mean, it
behavior
is.
that people choose to engage in. It is not some instinctive drive that must be obeyed, like hunger or thirst. And it is entirely possible to erase it if we actually put in the simple effort to do something about it, to teach our kids something valuable and lifelong, that other people deserve to be treated with care and respect, just like we wish to be ourselves. Does the golden rule ring any bells?
Absolutely.
In conclusion, do better. Be better. Give these kids a chance not just to survive your schools, but to thrive in them. Queer kids deserve safe and happy lives just as much as the straight ones do. If you listened to me, thank you.
They didn't. These people are in one ear out the other. They don't give two shit.
Our next speaker is Susie Eubank.
They're just like Tiffany was like, oh God, we gotta sit here and listen to this person. I'm glad they panned to the board
I'm
there.
Susie. I am a proud
Hey, look at
lesbian
Frosty
mother.
just laying back.
My personal
Oh.
experience that I've dealt with bullying with my own teenage son through Owasso since last year of moving here. Where do I begin? Gonna try to do this.
You got this.
Where do I begin? Him coming home telling me he was called a fag today, that he was called gay for having an earring, even being degraded by another teen, and the teacher knew but didn't report anything to the principal or myself, yet told that kid's parents. This certain kid has been telling my son to call him daddy, that my child was his bitch. To me, that's something I should know. Also, no repercussions for the bully. My child doesn't fit the social norm because he wants to just be himself.
Oh my
the
God.
bullying still continues. Since speaking up about our experiences, so many
Brute
other
force.
parents and people have stepped up with stories that I can't even imagine, including of a first grader at Bailey that she has expressed her daughter has been
But the
tormented,
school owns the
bruises,
media.
scratches. And what does the school do? They victim blame her. Our children are hurting. They are all screaming for help. When will you hear them? I don't want another beautiful soul taken too soon. There has to be a change.
Oh, I know,
Just
right?
because these children do not fit your social norm of others does not mean that their life is any less than yours. And also, I have a question. This fight took place, and those students were in school suspension. Where was the supervision? That's what scares me to send my kid to school, is that they were in school suspension and nothing was done. Nothing.
But we broke it up
This should
within
never
2
happen.
minutes.
And I'll keep speaking up about the bullying until it stops. And the school can get tired of me because I've already filed police reports through Rogers County, and I'll keep doing it. But I cannot allow my child to keep
Police
getting bullied.
are right there
And
with
if y'all
these
won't stand up and say anything for him, I will.
I will be his voice. I will be any other child's voice. And that's all I
The
have
only
to say,
thing you can
because
do.
honestly, y'all can sit there. And I think a few of y'all are taking this in. But honestly, as a
No.
parent, you don't know what it's like to step in our shoes with a child that doesn't fit the social norm, that you are scared to death that you're going to come home and honestly, they're going to take their own life because they're called gay and faggot and they don't understand. It's not fair for them. They deserve to go to school. They deserve to learn just like everybody else. And there needs to be more consequences. Because for this bully to degrade my son for a year and call him his bitch for a year, and I will say it because if the teenager said it, I will. That is not okay.
Say it.
And the teacher knew it. And the teacher let it go. So,
Oh, yeah.
I look at it as next could have been my child because y'all didn't do your job. You didn't do your job. You want
They
to
don't.
say you did
They
your
won't.
job, but you don't. Because until you come home and your kid's on the floor crying because he doesn't know what else to do because there's so many
Absolutely,
emotions because
teachers.
he can't even walk down the hallway without getting shoved or pushed because of all these bullies. And y'all won't do anything about it. So that is my, when is it going to stop? Because us parents are fearful for our children to be in your care.
I feel every bit of what she's saying.
Next speaker, Leanne Wilson.
And the person she thinks is listening would be Stephanie Rutman and probably Margaret, because they will sit there and go and put on a big smile, but it's all fake. Fake.
Hi, I'm Leanne Wilson, and I'm a mother of 3 children in the Owasso schools. And I'm also a member of the LGBTQ+ community. I want to first start off with my son. My son has been bullied all year where nothing has been done. We've made reports, all that stuff, and nothing's been done.
Yeah, they don't come down hard enough on bullies.
Nothing has been taken serious until now after a student's death, which brought the light on the community with the bullying and how it's being ignored and not taken seriously. It took a student dying for y'all to see something is wrong when it's been a huge issue for a long time. I've had many mothers, students, previous students come to me to discuss with me all the bullying that they've been subjected to. And it's been going on for a very, very long time. I've had a mother discuss to me that she had a 6th grader. The 6th grader was being bullied. They brought it up to the counselor.
That's
They
Eric
brought it up to the
Nantua.
principal. Nothing was done.
Oh, wait, she
The
said
child
6th
is
grade.
still
Never
being
mind.
bullied.
That's Roberts.
The parents feared for the child's safety, so they didn't know what to do, so they removed their children or their child from the bus. Another mom reported
See, what the
that
fuck?
her son also went to the 6th grade center. After 3 years of bullying, nothing was done. She removed her child from Owasso schools.
Wow. She should have
My
come up and give a
question to you
speech.
guys is, what does zero tolerance policy mean?
It means here's the rug and
I
let's
looked it up.
put it underneath it.
And I have the proper definition. And it means a policy of giving the most severe punishment possible to every person who commits a crime or breaks a rule.
Yeah.
Are you guys following that?
No.
Because you're not.
No.
Because if you guys were following that,
And
we wouldn't
this one's
have
on the
these
teachers
bullying
right
cases going
there,
on.
because
I
they
wouldn't
see
have
it.
to worry going home with my children crying. They get picked on because I'm a lesbian mother. Like, how fair is that to my child? I have 2 little ones that are in school right now, and I'm scared.
I keep hearing horrible things.
Right,
about
and
the
then you
sixth
get in
grade
trouble
center,
for it.
the seventh grade center, the eighth grade, and the high school because I'm here and I'm seeing it. But the thing is, zero tolerance. Like, what is that? You guys don't stand
It
up to your guys' policy, so why put it in your policy?
because it makes them look better.
It is not up to the bullies' parents to keep
Yep.
check of my children, to keep my children safe. When my children walk into your schools,
It's the
it
school's
is your
responsibility.
job to keep my children safe. And that's not
In
happening.
loco parentis.
Look what's going
The
on right
school
now.
is in loco parentis.
So I think you guys really need to
And
think
they're
about
shitty parents.
either taking that zero tolerance policy out of your guys' policy because it's not there, it's not being followed. Either take that out or
Or
stand
enforce
up
it.
for it.
Yep.
Be about it. You know, I get told all the time, it's all talk until you take action. I'm a person that lives up to that. I take the action. But the thing is you guys today need to take that action. And our kids need to be safe. And I do not feel that my children are safe in your guys' schools. And I will continue to fight for that. Again, thank you for allowing me to speak.
Allowing her to speak. Yeah. Because otherwise, only 3 people would be allowed to speak. At least they opened it up for more comments.
Next speaker, Aaron Horst. Hope I didn't mispronounce your name.
God, Brent, read the damn room, buddy. God.
I'll speak quickly. I have a lot to say. First, thank you for your time. I've not addressed this board since COVID. At that time, we were pretty heavy odds, and at that time, I also made some statements that I feel were right, but my delivery may have been unfair to many of you. I've made many apologies and mended many of those relationships. Many of you have actually supported me in things outside the school system as
Fuck
well,
'em.
and I appreciate that.
Let 'em have it,
People
sir.
who still have ill feelings, I welcome those conversations to mend those relationships as well.
Just don't do it in the parking lot.
I know that most people are quick to come up here and stand and tell you when they are mad at you, but not when you've done a good job. I know most, if not all of you, have received death threats along with rude, hateful emails, phone calls, and I have listened to you get bullied here tonight. I thought we would have learned better since COVID. But
They're
I'll
getting
quickly
bullied?
forget. As I stated, I've spoken to this administration.
What the
but
fuck?
It is not fair of us to come here and complain and not give credit when credit is due. I say all of this to say I would like to commend the administration for the handling of this current situation. It's been
Wow.
very tragic, very intense, emotionally, legally, politically. And this administration as a whole has done a fantastic job in keeping us informed about the things we need to know, keeping quiet.
Let me see if I can.
Know at times, or at this time, and dismantling information or dismantling any false.
Is that
information.
better?
You have also continued to support and protect our children in countless ways. Many people in this community and in this room have spoken against the school in regards to anti-bullying policy. I asked the people, what would you have the school system do? I've actually not heard a solution in the room tonight. You can't put cameras in bathrooms. Other schools have used bathroom monitors and been accused of sexual misconduct. Private bathrooms are not only expensive, but the sheer privacy alone leads to the risk of
Okay, then that's as far as I can get it.
As a former foster parent and educator, I can tell you that bullying is learned. In many cases, I have personally seen that a child that bullies is often living in a bad situation at home. They may have been abused verbally, physically, mentally, sexually, or even sexually. They may have had an incarcerated parent or may have been a foster kid. They may be living in drug-filled environments. The list goes on. The school system cannot stop kids from saying mean and hurtful things. Keep in mind that even though these people are tall, they are still just kids. I agree that bullying should not be tolerated in our schools, but you can't look at just the child, or just the side of a child that identifies with a specific demographic and assume that they were the victim. We don't know what really happened in the bathroom that day or who bullied who. We have only heard one side of the story, and none of us were there. Remember that.
Well,
bullying is
sir,
quite
since
often
you
a
think
two-way
that
street,
they're
and there are
being
two sides
bullied,
to every
the
story.
school board is being bullied
speak
here
personally to
tonight.
this, as I was the victim of
I don't give a
bullying in high
shit what you
school.
say.
That's bullying.
Wow.
We were
Yeah,
leaving in a away
that
football
person
game,
shouldn't
and
have
I was
said that.
physically assaulted by 3 students from the school we were visiting for being a
Those
male
people
cheerleader.
need to just shut
The
their
police
mouths and let
officers
him
at that
speak.
local school and the school administrators pulled the kids off of me, so they were firsthand witnesses.
He's pissing me
The
off
school
too,
that,
but
the school and the local police
those
department
people
did
shouldn't
nothing
do
for
that.
these kids. One of the kids was actually 18 years old and had graduated the year prior. None of them were disciplined or arrested. That is what I call poor policy and discrimination. We are all passionate about education. I hate that we've had to put that to the side to deal with this situation. We should not have to be saddened by the loss of a child in our community. We should not have to be in the national spotlight over false information about what may or may not be a hate crime. We should not have to deal with Westboro Baptist Church and their preaching about a false, hate-filled
You wouldn't have
God
been
that
if
is
the
dressed
school
up to
had
look
done
like
their
the God of the
job,
Bible.
buddy.
That is not the one true God, the God that loves us all of his children. He may disagree with you, but he still loves you. And he
Oh my
accepts you.
God, shut
Jesus
the
welcomes you
fuck
into
up
heaven
with that.
regardless of your sins. We are all sinners, including myself, but we can all go to heaven. Our school administration
I'm
should be
sorry,
focusing on
Maura. It was hard
education, but
to,
in the
I
midst
don't
of
know
a
what
very
they said.
delicate, unprecedented situation, you have all risen to the
I
occasion.
think they called him a fascist.
And have done a fantastic job. I look forward and pray for the day that we can all put this behind us so you can continue to focus on what you came here to do. Educate the young minds of the city of Owasso. Please keep up the good work. Thank you again for your time, and God bless.
Wow. Shame on you, sir. Wow. People are class. I wonder who paid this
And our final
motherfucker.
speaker, Kaylin Durant.
This will probably be another pro school one.
My name is Kylan Durant, he, him.
Oh,
At the
probably not.
request and with the help of a concerned Owasso parent, I'm here speaking on behalf of Oklahoma Pride Alliance. I assume this request came because our organization stands as hope in the midst of such a heavy time for Oklahoma. The responsibility of that hope is not one we take lightly. However, what is most important is that 2S LGBTQIA+ kids in Oklahoma feel hope. When we look at the statistics, we quickly realize why that hope is important, especially now. A national survey on LGBTQ youth tells us that 45% of queer youth seriously consider attempting suicide, and 1 in 5 trans or non-binary youth actually attempted
After
suicide.
this, I'm going to go back and get that guy's
And that
name.
number goes up when we talk
I have a feeling
specifically
he
about
works
Black,
for
brown,
somebody.
and indigenous queer youth. Additionally, 37% of trans and non-binary youth reported that they have been physically threatened or harmed due to their gender identity. 71% of trans and non-binary youth reported experiencing discrimination based on their gender identity. Impressionable. We often hear kids are impressionable. The impressions we plan to make for the children of Oklahoma is that they are seen and supported no matter who they are, where they come from, how they identify, or who they love. My impression growing up was being from Oklahoma, you can be an astronaut, like Shannon Lucid, a world-class prima ballerina like the 5 moons depicted inside
Possible, but I don't know. But I'll find out.
Nurse, farmer, rancher, a Grammy Award-winning artist, a Tony Award-winning actor, a person that rushes towards disaster like Oklahomans did on April 19th, 1995. Or serve our country to protect
Does
people you'll never
OKC
meet,
bombing.
like the estimated 300,000 Oklahomans who have served our armed forces. Oklahoma is for everyone. Y'all means all. That's the impression I got, and I want every student to know. School is where we make the impression that not everyone looks or thinks like you, but we sit in the same classrooms, eat the same lunch, eat the same food at lunch, work as a team on the court or field, in choir or band. But those impressions come from the adults, the board, staff, teachers, coaches, you know, the golden rule, walk a mile in someone else's shoes, and so on. Life during school is hard enough with discovering what the world has to offer, the people and places we only thought were in books, movies, and TV, then discovering the challenges of how we get to those places and meet or be those people. It's hard enough. So let's leave the impression that no matter where they come from, who they are, what they look like, or how they identify, the children of Oklahoma's schools can reach those places and be whatever they dream to be as who they authentically are. That's the impression we want. And speaking of impressions, hope, and statistics, having just one accepting adult in a kid's life can reduce the risk of suicide attempt by up to 40%. Let's be a community full of accepting adults for our youth. Thank you.
That speech was hard to follow his point. If he's a speaker for some organization, they probably should get a different one. Yeah, I think I'm gonna.
That ends our tonight's agenda. A vote to adjourn is in order.
I think I'm gonna sign up to speak at the next one.
I motion we adjourn.
My name is Frosty Turpin. All right, let's go back
Motion made
and
and
find out
seconded.
who
Roll
this
call, please.
asshole is.
Aaron Horst. Next speaker, Aaron Horst.
Oh, Aaron Forst. Okay, I've heard that name before. So I'm gonna dig in and look more into this guy. I don't know that he's employed by the school or whatever, but I don't know. Read the damn room, sir. Let these people make their point and then come back. Yeah, you got a right to come and make your speech if you want to, but what a fucking asshole. What a fucking asshole. Let's go back and let's hear if anybody yells or screams. I doubt it, but they cut it off really
Someone else's
fast.
shoes. Hard enough.
Please, for a motion.
I motion we adjourn.
Second.
Look at them. They're
Motion
like,
made
"Get me
and
the
seconded. Roll
fuck
call,
out of
please.
here."
Mr. England?
Yes.
Ms. Mills? Mrs. Rettman?
Yes.
Mr. Turpin?
Yes.
And nobody's talking. There we go. Enter the police. And they cut the audio. You see that? That was Mark Officer right there. He just popped his head over. Oh, this cop looks like he's gonna. Let's see if they do anything crazy. I don't think they will. Yeah, I'm probably gonna sign up and speak at the next one. I thought about doing it at this one, but I had the last speech I gave to them. I said that I would never come back, and you should actually go. And matter of fact, you know what? Let me actually just pull that speech up, because what I said in that speech was actually really on point with what we're seeing now. That would have been in. This right here is the board meeting where I got banned. The last one would have been in May, I think. Let's see.
You know the feeling. Those moments when your life
Frickin'
changes
ads.
forever. If you lost or need to update your health.
Yeah, and listen to what I say to these people. And just how spot on it was to what they're dealing with right now. It may have been later. Let's see. Trying to find it. No, it may not have been May. Maybe it was April. Let's see, April. Where's that? November. Oh, they may have actually cut that. Let's see. There's old Ron. I must have come after him. Yeah, here we go. Hold on. Sorry, guys.
If you need some help, let me know.
Be honest, I don't have a prepared speech with me. Oh, no, but it would have been later. Well, shit. I don't want to keep y'all looking for this, but August, September. Oh, that was way before. July, November, December. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm way off. Let's see, May, April. Maybe it was this one. I feel like it was the other one. I feel like it was the April one. Yeah, I think that was the right one. Let me go back to it. Or the May one I meant. Where the hell?
And one assistant principal for the 8th grade center.
It would have been near the
authorized by
end.
Oklahoma statute title 25 subsection 307.
Yeah, there it is. Okay. Interchangeably with you. Here we go.
Related to
Oh.
the specific.
How's that? There we go. There we go. All right. So this will be the last speech that I ever give to the school board ever for the rest of my life. We're about to close on a house in Mississippi, and we'll be moving out there as soon as the school year is done. So I wanted to come here and really talk about those changes that are coming to my family and connect this to the broader concept of cosmic balance, if you will. Now, to clarify, I do not believe in God. I'm an atheist. But people can probably use God interchangeably with universal balance or cosmic balance because it could be God's will or what have you. And I would posit that universal balance does exist, where every action precipitates an equal and opposite reaction. And we know this to be true in physics. But I believe that that actually expands into the metaphysical, where even mundane actions that we take that impact others are balanced over time through this balance that the universe maintains. I'd like to give an example of how the universe, would intervene in my life. I believe you might remember we were all here on Halloween together. It was that day that you decided to trample all over my constitutional rights. I'm sure you'll remember. Even though you were asked to come and give an objective view of evidence of what I had done wrong, at least one of you didn't even look at it because you were too busy, staring at me for whatever reason to judge me about my mannerisms and demeanor. And you That was had a couple of Frosty. options there. You could have done the right thing, or you could have done the thing that would protect the friend that was within the circle that you have.
That's Margaret Coates.
Even though your friend was making a bad choice. Well, that was the wrong choice, but that was the one that you made, and the universe intervened. How do I know this? Because literally the very next day, the judge that you guys chose to see this case said no, wagged his finger in your face, browbeat you, and asked you, why are you bullying this man? So that was the universe coming in there to balance with good something that was bad. And there was another instance where this was the case. We had an individual who signed a paper that said they weren't employed by the district in
That's
order to run
Stephanie
for a
Ruttman.
school board, but went ahead and joined the faculty anyway as an employee. And everybody here just, I don't know, ignored this fact that you're not allowed to be an employee and run for the school board, but that didn't matter. You all turned and looked the other way despite the laws that were very clear on that. So this pattern of, unethical behavior just continued. And whenever it came time for me to run, I couldn't because of a technical anomaly with my registration that reverted back to a house I hadn't lived at for 20 years.
It's true.
I did the right thing by saying, well, even though I've lived here for 9 years, I can't actually sign this. So my wife, having watched all of you try to bully me around and watched at least one of you stand there and literally lie about me. You know who you are. You stood
Neil
up there in
Kessler.
front of everybody and lied. So she threw her hat in the ring, and literally, would you know it, within a day or two of filing that,
Truth.
somebody reached out to her and she wasn't even looking for a job. They reached out to her and offered her a job as the senior director of information technology at a place out in Mississippi. You know why? Because the universe has to balance all of the evil that other people do with some good and rewards people who do the right thing and stand up for people for the right reasons. And it kind of reminds me actually of somebody who once said, well,
Margaret
if
Coates.
he doesn't suffer the consequences of his actions, he's just going to do it again. I got to agree with the sentiment there, though it wasn't applicable to the situation that it was, lodged at me. But I have to say, I agree. People who do bad things should suffer the consequences. And it appears to me that the universe has now put me in a position to where I can now hold those who haven't been held accountable. So who am I to go against what the universe says? Shouldn't I just be a vessel? Others would say this is God's will that did this, and God is the one that put me down this path. So should I just say no, or should I go ahead and do what I need to do, which is hold people accountable for the poor things and the bad decisions that they make? Thank you.
Now, I only played that because this speaks to the cosmic balance that I referred to, where these people just keep doing shitty things. They protect each other. They don't deal with the bullying. They bully themselves. Their teachers bully their principals when it gets brought up to their attention. Just, oh, well, I know the teacher. He's a good guy. And they just continue to let this shit happen. And now look what happened. You got a national spotlight on them yet again, and it's going to continue to happen until you get rid of those fucking people and put people in there that have integrity, that won't do shit like this, that won't stand for bullying, that won't allow teachers to just ignore the fact that somebody's being called a faggot or gay or lesbian or you know, pussy or whatever it is that they say these days with kids. So until that happens, shit like this is just going to keep happening. And as I told that board, you guys need to get rid of her because she's a fucking cancer. And the people that run that school are a cancer. And the kids are the ones that are going to suffer. And now we're seeing that play out in real time. So, I mean, I told them that was going to be the last time I ever gave a speech. And, you know, I don't know. It's probably not even worth me going down there. You know, I don't live there anymore, but still, this just pisses me off to see something that I dealt with personally at the school with fucking bullying and principals doing nothing about it, or just, oh, well, you know, our teachers are really good. It just pisses me off, and I feel like maybe me saying something about my experience might spark something inside of them. Who fucking knows? I know they won't want to see my name on there, though. They fucking hate me. They all hate me. But anyway, guys, you know, I don't know what the hell that guy's deal was. Aaron Frost or Forced. I'm going to look that up, figure it out, and I'll probably make a post about it or even a video, because that guy, what a douche. What an absolute douche. You know, I was real shitty to you guys before, but let me be shitty to these guys over here. It was funny, though. He turns to those people. It's like, that's bullying, like deadpan. The people shouldn't have screamed at him. You know, he has a right to say what he wants to say, even though, you know, he's a fucking asshole. But anyway, that's it for now, guys. You know, like and subscribe, share this if you found any benefit to it whatsoever. At least now everybody will know all the names of the people and the players that are in that board meeting moving forward. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how this all plays out. But it's if Margaret Coates is the history of Margaret Coates is any indication of the future, she's going to find some clever way to weasel her way out of it, like she always does. All right, guys, that's it. We'll catch you next time. This is the Liberal Loudmouth on the Loudmouths. Peace.